I missed some things on the basics, but so yeah, right, this is Jet Set Radio. If you've not come across it before, it is a game about spraying tags, pretty much, and taking over the world as you do it. And the Japanese military are not too happy about that, so they bring in tanks and shit to stop you. As far as the speedrun goes, there aren't too many tricks. It's mostly execution based and routes, like following the routes and shaving off tiny little bits of seconds with small, like, clever tricks and stuff like that. Well, tricks is more jumps than anything else. So, as far as the basics go, movement is the thing you really need to be consistent with, because, well, everything can change with very tiny movement differences depending on how you boost, the angle which you go into a grind or leave a grind, with your pressing buttons when you jump, that kind of thing. So, oh, good stuff. So the basic idea, you want to be able to, before you start using boosts, be able to turn without that happening, basically. If you just hold back, you either slide, and if you try and just sort of not do that, he has a sort of weird stop and then turn around like that. And the way to do that is really just to keep your turning circle below, what would it be, 45 degrees downwards. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a quick turn like JSRF, where you can basically do two 90-degree turns and it will go fast. But you can just slow yourself down and then turn, and your turning circle will be a lot shorter. So you want to basically just flick down before you do it. Not like that. But if you oh god damn it. If you flick down just before you turn, trying not to go into that mode, then you can get about half the turning circle you would normally. Next, the most important part, boosting. Now, the main thing to know about boosting is when you jump boost, that is pretty much the fastest movement you have. So, where possible, if you're not grinding, you want to be doing this instead. It doesn't matter how long you boost before, so usually you want to just do one boost, so you'll see a blue spray, which means you've got the boost, and then jump straight after. You can buffer the boost immediately, like whilst you're in the air, it will come out. But the window is not that big. If you're not doing that, and really the only reason you wouldn't do that is when your boost will give you a trick jump. So if, this is not a brilliant place to show this off. If you're on an incline, not an incline, on a decline, you will gain more speed as you boost down it, and it will cause you to trick jump. So for instance, this little hill down here, as you boost down, if you jump, you'll just trick jump, which makes it a lot harder to keep consistently going down. So what you want to do instead is just keep boosting and then stop and boost again. And basically it's five little motions of boosting before you get to boost again. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you just boost again. But you have to let go and put it back on, so it's getting used to the timing of boosting, letting go, and then boosting again immediately afterwards. Right, next, most important thing, is your camera. Now me and Annie's do this quite differently. His is the superior way, but the personally I find harder way, and mine is the easier way, but suffers in certain places. If you just use the trigger here, you immediately go behind, which for basic things means, like, as you're turning a corner you just sort of mash it and then it'll always go with you. And the reason that is a problem is because there's many times where the camera is sort of too close in and it will create problems basically. So if you try and go behind here, it looks a bit weird and glitches quite a bit. And also because it's your tag button, it means that it can interfere when you have a tag, so you can't change your camera around a tag. The alternative is using the analog stick with free camera movement, which is much better, but I personally find it, I don't know, it distracts me too much.
Can you also turn off the camera centering?
Oh yeah, yeah, you can. Yeah, that's true. If you don't like the camera centering, then you can turn it off, which will help with a trick later on, which I'll show later when we get to it.
Usually helps with the boss fights too.
Oh, that's true. Actually, I never think about it because I'm just so used to it now. But yeah, that was a pain when I first did it.
Yeah, because if you get hit when you're trying to tag someone, like, you'll start facing a different direction, and then your camera.
Yeah, your camera will immediately
go
switch.
That direction, so now you can't see anything, and now you're traveling the wrong way. So
yeah,
like,
and
really
if you get hit but don't lose your momentum, you'll basically be moving forwards, immediately have your camera be the opposite direction, and then you'll hold forwards, and then you'll just basically stop and lose all your speed. So that can be a big problem. And I guess the last thing to cover in the basics is the two current categories, which is any percent and 100%. Any percent is beat it as fast as you can using a couple of tricks and mostly just being really fast. The other category is 100%, little dubiously 100%, but it's 100% by completion of the game, which is essentially all characters, and all characters and all graffiti tags that you pick up. So there are little souls that are floating around in the levels that you need to pick up, and every single character that you unlock gives you 3 graffiti souls. The reason it's not quite 100% is there's one character called Potts who you can only unlock by playing through the game after you've completed it 100% and then getting about halfway through the game and picking a specific mission over another one. And the rest of 100% comes down to this final screen where your score determines you getting jet ranking, because for each area in the game you get 4 different characters which are unlocked by getting jet on every single mission in the area. So that will come down to this point system, which is wait, I can't remember what. This is not brilliantly set up for that. So yeah, the way the point system works is your final points are the sort of base starting for you. Then you add points for your health, points for the time left over, and points for the number of cans. The cans are basically irrelevant because each can is worth 100 points, which is worthless. It means even if you only had one tag to do and you had the character with the most amount of cans, which is 30, you could still only get 2,900 points, which is kind of inconsequential. Health is probably the most important one. The way health works is you have an overall health percentage where you get 3,000 points based. You get a percentage of 3,000 points based on the percentage health you have left, and then the final sort of if clause is if you have 100% health, you get an extra 3,000 points. So it's always a good option to go for extra health and 100%, because the time that you make up won't be as much as the 3,000 points you get for 100% health. And the points for time work that you round down from whatever it is and times it by 30. And the first sort of major trick is pretty much why any percent is... I didn't need to do it on Bent and Burning, but it's pretty much why any percent is so different to 100%. Because basically what you do is you limit yourself to only ever doing one motion of the tag. So when you go to a tag, you're given a motion here. So you're supposed to go down, and then you go that, and then you go that, and then you'll do all these motions. Got to make sure they're all right. But basically, what you want to do is you want to keep it to the fastest motions, which is the very first motion every time, because you're not bothered about points in any percent. You just want to do it as fast as possible, which is done by tag cancelling. Very simply, you hit tag, the tag button to get into the tag, you do the motion, and then you immediately hit it again, which cancels the tag. And with a sort of consistent mashing method, you can do it much faster. So that's a lot faster than what you would be doing. And slowing down, all that is tag, down, tag, tag, down, tag, tag, down. And just as soon as you get used to that thing, I think using the D-pad is a lot easier to do for those, because all you're ever doing is up and down motions. You don't have to do analog movements, so you can just use the D-pad. But
that's a lot easier to mash on the D-pad.
Yeah, I can see why some people do it like with the analog, because it just feel more natural initially, but you can just do it so much faster when you do it with the D-pad. And oh yeah, the other thing that is important to know for both any percent and for 100% is how trick jumps work. So when you are let's do that. When you're on a grind, you'll notice you can get two different jumps. You can jump off like that, which is a jump based on how long you hold the jump button. So like if I jump and then I hold jump, I go really far, or if I jump and I hop, then I just get a small jump. The other thing you get is a trick jump, which is like that, which is you can't control the height of or the speed or anything, but you have a lot more control in the air. So the general idea is if you need to be able to move in a very specific way, you want it to be a trick jump generally, because you just can control it a lot easier. The way you would want to do it is to not press any direction, generally anyway, not press any direction, and then immediately upon the jump you press the direction you want to go, like that. Because if you hold a direction, what tends to happen is it's just a little more wild, because it's very specific to the angle that you're holding, so you can get it to be very like sharp angle as opposed to what you would want generally, which is usually not quite as much of one. The way that this works is essentially it's the amount of boost you have left on your grind. So if you boost full speed into a grind, even if it looks like you're losing speed, occasionally what you will get is a weird trick jump. It's kind of hard to really tell when it's going to happen, but it's almost always because you've got like a big boost into it. And even though I've kind of slowed down, it'll occasionally give me the trick jump. Generally, we have sort of setups in the route to remove this being a problem particularly. So like you just sort of make sure you boost there and make sure you jump not till then, and then you'll never have it happen because you will never have enough boost for it to happen. But occasionally you can just sort of have the problem that it will cause a trick jump. The other thing is that as you're seeing on this one, slopes remove boost more than they remove speed. So even though I'm like boosting and should be getting a trick jump pretty quickly, I won't necessarily get it straight away because of I won't necessarily get it as much as I would like because the slope is removing the boost more than it would anywhere else. So the reason it's important as well is that trick jumps are slower than just sort of hopping. So you wanna be able to avoid getting trick jumps like that, and you just want to hop the whole way. So you want to kind of get a balance between being too slow, and needing to hop and getting a trick jump. Which after playing for a while, you just sort of get a feel for when you can do it. Things like staircases are always easy because you just wait till you're at the top of the slope and you've reached the point where you're on a flat, and you just will have lost the boost by that point, so you can just get away with it. And another small trick that isn't really used too much, we have it in a few places in the route. The game gives you a lot more height than you're supposed to get if you jump from a slope. So even though you shouldn't, actually here's a good example, I'll probably mess it up, but basically this tag up there, this graffiti soul up here, you're supposed to jump onto that platform, or you're supposed to jump from the grind above, but you can actually get up there from this. I'm terrible at it, so I'm probably going to fail. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, like that. And that's simply just using the slant to increase your height by a lot. Basically, all the speed that you should be going forwards, it sends in the direction of the grind, so you go straight, like you go up more than you go forwards. And that's pretty much it for the sort of basics and the little tricks and stuff. So I think we have gonna go for the in-depth stuff. So that's just kind of a very quick basic overview of the game mechanics and the major tricks that we use. And then this is going to be a breakdown of specific aspects of the game. So the tutorial is always a good one to start with because it's the same in any percent and 100%. Nothing changes with it. And there's a lot of kind of minor tricks that save a reasonable amount of time. I mean, I think before we found all these tricks, it was probably about 20-30 seconds longer. So the intended way you do this is you jump here, and then you go here, and you jump on this one, and then you eventually jump onto the car. But basically, as I explained earlier, grinding is slower than most often than not, is actually slower than boost jumping. So, and obviously you can take a more definite angle. So if you just straight up boost jump there, now occasionally, I think Annie's we're still not sure whether the final bit jumping works. So it might be faster to go on the grind and trick jump onto the car. In which case, it is you can basically miss the car, and that's mostly just a point of you need to know whether you're going to get a trick jump, and then learn how long to hold the A and just how to control your air movement. That mostly will come down to just practicing it a little bit, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And even if you fall off, it's a very quick thing. You don't fail or anything, you just can immediately jump back on. I screwed up the start of this, so... Now you saw the intended route for this one already. Supposed to grind all the way along and then get off at the bottom, but that's quite a slow way of doing this. We want to cut that down quite a bit, and the way this works is you only need to be on the grind for a certain amount of time, and it's quite a small amount of time as well. So the first very small trick is to boost here and immediately stop boosting after you have 2 boosts. So after you've had 1, 2, you want to stop and then jump on. This means that you don't get on with any boosts, because you don't want to get on. You don't want to get on here and then trick jump off. What you want is to just hop off like that. Now, I didn't show that very well, but you can jump off after the second flag. I'm going to basically go over there and show. We're going to ignore this one for now. What? Wait, oh really? I didn't know that actually failed you like that. This game has very weird but good checks for things like this. So it knew I didn't pick up these 2 and didn't pick up those. So yeah, what you want to do is you want to jump on, and then by this second flag you can just hop off, and then that will be basically how you do it. So you start, I don't know if it's going to fail me, yeah, start around there, boost, stop, jump on, and then it'll never be a trick jump, and it'll be just enough for you to be able to pass what you're supposed to do. This one has really one trick, but another one that's kind of a useful thing to know. So when you first do this, you want to be doing boost jumping, and you will kind of naturally, as you do the boost jump, end up boost jumping around here, getting that in the air and landing there. I get asked this quite often, how you skip this, or how you don't hit this little traffic light here. It's not really anything particularly amazing. If you just, as soon as you get the final spray can, you jump holding right and then immediately hold left as you've jumped, and you'll always basically clip through it for some reason. I don't really understand why, but that will happen. You can see it kind of, it struggles for a second where you're just clipping very quickly. Often get a trick jump there, but yeah, generally you will get a trick jump because you will have got a big boost like that. And it's also good because this sets you up for the right angle. Where you land, you want to be facing like this, and the major trick of this is that you can complete both of these tags in the same jump. And the game is checking, because what it expects you to do is go on this grind and then get both of the tags and fall off the grind. So it expects you to be in the air and fall. So if you don't do the final tag whilst you're still in the air or in the recovery frames of landing, sorry, it won't count. It will force you to jump again. Oh, I see I did it too late there. So you want to try and line it up like this, and the trick is basically to get a boost jump that lands you around there. I didn't get close enough and I clipped the corner of this, but you have to make sure you don't grind either. So now I've completed all the tags, but it won't actually complete until I jump, because it's expecting me to be on that grind, so it will just complete randomly. So the trick for that is just to line it up so that you're landing just on the corner of the truck, and you'll get enough distance that it will allow you to spray the tag. No real trick to this one, just standard boost jumping and your first real test of your tag cancelling abilities. And then this tutorial has pretty much come to be known as Fast Car, because there's one car that is quite clearly faster than all the other cars that are going up, and as you can see, it's that I don't know what that would be, brown, cream, kind of
like beige or something.
beige. Yeah, I think it is actually just a beige car, and it just goes so much faster, and you basically want to get onto it and not do this, because you are so much slower by going on all the other cars. There's kind of a couple of ways for this to work. It's a bit of a weird one. You basically need to be boosting as soon as possible, and you kind of get a feel for where it is. But the way I did it there is let's come back here. So
if you miss the car, you can still like dash. As long as you're dashing, you can still catch up to it if you're behind the car.
Yeah, because all the cars have like a slipstream.
You're more likely to get that dash, like if you're more towards the right side of the car than the left side.
So I tend to aim myself. I aim just for this corner here as I'm boosting, and I'm expecting to get one regular boost jump to basically reach me to the corner, then land, and then boost jump, very quick boost jump across. But the thing is, you can get there at very, very different times, and what you want to avoid at all costs is hitting the fast car. So it's kind of a balance of knowing how far your second trick jump is going to go, or how far your second boost jump, sorry, is going to go. Another strategy that makes it easier for actually just getting to the car is to jump straight up there, and you tend to just have a lot more leeway. Like you can pretty much stop there for a second, like assess how far ahead you are, and then jump again. So it's not quite as difficult, but I find it occasionally glitches out on the walkway here. Yeah, see, I jumped there, and the jump basically gets absorbed by the sidewalk. It's a bit of a weird one. It's a glitch that will be noted slightly later. Oh, no. And then, final thing about it is actually descending this place. Actually, no, before that, the backup strats, if you don't manage to get there. If you're close enough, you can actually keep boost jumping and get to that van. But if it really comes down to it, you want to hit the second car on the right here, because it's a faster car and it's about the same as the van. It's a tiny bit slower, but it's very marginal. So that's kind of the backup strat if you fail that. And then once you're up here, basically you want to avoid the traffic, because the traffic, while it is generated, like you can work out where the traffic is, the biggest problem is when you get up here with the fast car, if you immediately turn onto the other side of the road, the bus is there and it completely blocks your path. So the fastest way down is to actually just go down here, and this is the one of the times where you want to be just getting perfect boosts every time. and get down as fast as possible. Now, there are a few things to watch out here, which is obviously all the obstacles, like the trees and stuff, and all the sidewalks. But the biggest issue is this little just bit here. I don't really understand why or when it happens, but occasionally when you're going over it you will just trip. There's no real way to avoid this, you just kind of have to go for it and hope. I think the reason it happens is because you haven't reached enough speed for the drop that you have, so it deals with that by just sort of making it trip you up instead. It's a bit weird. It only happens very occasionally, so it's not like a big thing to know about. It usually happens when you hit that pole, so that's why I assume it's a speed-based thing. And then finally you just want to jump over here to save a little bit of time to get to that, and avoid landing on the grind at the end, because the final condition is that you're on the ground, and if you're on a grind it has to stop you and put you on the grind. This trick is quite inconsistent, to be fair. This is the most annoying trick of the tutorials. Basically, you're supposed to go up there, but you can jump onto the bus here and then immediately skip that tiny bit at the end. I think it probably saves like 2 seconds at max. And the setup I personally have is you boost, jump at the edge of... Actually, I should slow this down. Don't explain whilst I do it, or it will be... So, I will boost and then jump when I reach the edge of this shadow here. Then, when I'm on the grind, I jump at the edge of that pot, or not pot, the just little plants on the right. At the end section of that plant, I'll jump, and then immediately upon landing on the grind, I will do a full right held trick jump. And because of something that was recently started happening, I will be mashing jump as well. So, like that. And even when you get it, it doesn't really look like it's supposed to happen, because you just kind of very weirdly warp up there. And it's a very difficult trick. Oh, that was a little late. Oh my god. And this is pretty much why I don't think... this isn't in the world record run, because it's stupid. Oh my god, still. Most of the reason I'm failing is because I'm jumping too early. Or jumping too early on the first bit. So I should be further along the bus when I get onto it. Which is only really to do with where you jump from. Oh wow, I actually thought that should have worked. This is a pretty... This does not do well for showing my strat, really.
And this is why I don't do this trick.
Oh my god. I might have to mercy kill this in my own tutorial. It's hilarious. It's weird. This is another one where I swear in my practices I like do this every single time. For a while I thought that you had to get a specific trick jump which you can't control, but I've got it with all the trick jumps. It just seems to be more consistent with the one where you backflip. So yeah, you want a backflip here, but it doesn't have to be a backflip. That should work. Really? Okay, I'm gonna try jumping later. And that's the only thing I can assume, is it looks like I'm far too far over. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I was jumping too early. Yeah. So yeah, that's how it works now. I used to not jump at the end, but it started failing a lot recently because you don't get onto the bus terminal fast enough. And like I said, the triggers are quite well done. So yeah, that's basically how we do the tutorial.